Ahoy, travelers!
Are we on a boat?
Arr!
Are you ready for a quest?
That was good. Are ye ready for a quest?
Oh my gosh. Welcome back to the questing hour.
Yes. Welcome back, Ari. What quest did we do last week?
I don't remember. It's so early.
It's so early.
I don't know what.
We talked about rewarding yourself because we got to the end of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Yes. So I rewarded myself and I bought a new outfit for a trip that I'm going on.
Okay.
I'm very excited. Yeah.
I rewarded myself by taking a break. I went out swimming to a lake that's like, so the closest lake that's like kind of actually swimmable is 2 hours away.
Oh my gosh.
So my friend and I, we went the 2 hours away. We brought like food and we were swimming for like 5 hours. I got another horrible killer sunburn.
Oh, girl, you got to get some sunscreen.
I reapplied twice.
Dang, that sucks.
And yeah, so like my face doesn't look as red anymore, which is good, but it's so crusty.
Oh, I hate
it.
That,
literally looks like I have the worst case of dandruff ever because like it's all flaking at the edges of my forehead. And I'm like, when I go to work, I'm so embarrassed because I'm like, what the heck?
Like, crusty.
I was gonna say I probably look so crusty and gross. Like, but yeah, I rewarded myself by taking a break because it's very easy for me to forget that I also deserve like fun and rest.
Yeah. No, I was talking about that last night. Just like so much of our lives are taken up by work that we have to find something fulfilling outside of work or our lives are going to be miserable.
Seriously. Yeah. And it's hard because like after work and like everything else, especially because like you have cats, so you kind of understand too, but we have like other responsibilities outside of work that take up our time. And it's very easy to forget like, hey, you know, I know you're exhausted, but you have to do something for yourself.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You know, it can't just all be busy work.
Yeah, for sure.
Went swimming.
I love that. And that fulfills your Thursday quest, which is go out in nature and touch a body of water. So
two birds, one stone.
2 birds, 1 stone, baby. I love that. I actually heard a great dad joke for your side quest.
Yes.
It was my friend Jack told it to me, and he said it's a knock knock joke. So knock knock.
Who's there?
Dwayne.
Dwayne who?
Dwayne the bathtub. I'm drowning. I know, it's so funny.
That's clever. I've never heard that before.
That's a good one. Yeah, I loved it. I was like, oh, I gotta share that. Gotta share that on the pod.
I love that. That's too good.
Yeah, it was a good one. So hope you guys did all your quests. Share your dad jokes with us if you feel led to. If you think they're funny, we'll probably laugh. We think everything's funny.
Or pictures of you touching grass so that you have proof you went outside.
Proof you went outside. I love to see proof. We need the crucial evidence.
Tell me.
Tell me where you went outside now. But this week we're talking about a man that I hated and then grew to love. One, William Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare. So we all know William Shakespeare. He was a poet. He was a playwright. He was an actor. He was a writer. He is a mystery.
The jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. Master of all, actually. He's kind of fantastic. And he was alive from 1564 to 1616. So kind of more in the Renaissance than the medieval times, but a lot of his plays focused on the medieval Dark Ages, like the one that we're going to talk about today, Hamlet. Oh, hello, Milo.
Doing a cameo.
Doing a little cameo. I love it. I love it. So, Ari, what experience do you have with Shakespeare and his work?
Ooh, okay. So I read a lot of Shakespeare throughout high school, obviously in my English classes. But every year, like, the teachers would have us read a different book. And actually, my favorite is Midsummer Night's Dream.
Ah, I love that.
Just because it's fun to read.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But my favorite thing is I have, like, those... Do I have it over here? I have, like, the $1 book copies still from high school.
Yeah.
Because my favorite thing as a more literary person is annotating Shakespeare's work.
Yeah.
Because it's just there's just so much to say and so much to do. It's actually fun for me.
I love that.
I've always liked Shakespeare because of that. I'm like, oh, okay, guys. And I loved like acting it out in class, but I remember like people used to get so annoyed about having to do it in class and stuff. But I'm like, no, this is great. I love this.
I love that. That's so cute.
Yeah. But honestly, I haven't touched Shakespeare since high school. So
yeah. Wow.
This will be fun.
Yeah, I love that. I did the same thing, just like reading it in English classes. And I also did a lot of theater growing up, but I was always on the musical side. And so I would do a bunch of musicals, and then a director would be like, hey, we're doing a Shakespeare show. You should come audition. And I'm like, why on earth would I audition for a show that has no songs and no dancing? As if.
And they're usually dark and horrible.
Yeah, they're dark and horrible. I don't want to do that. But I did do actually 2 productions of Midsummer Night's Dream. I played a fairy, and then I played one of the little stupid idiots that does that puts on the play for the king and queen. Yeah, I was one of them, and that was actually so much fun. One of the stupid dumb idiots, but that one was actually so much fun because I worked with a director that understood Shakespeare. It was actually the person that might feature next season on our podcast. Yeah, he understood the text and he knew what the characters like were actually doing and talking about. And it wasn't just, hey, we're gonna read these lines and do this blocking. So it was incredible. And after that, I was like, I was like, maybe Shakespeare got something going on. So in college, I actually ended up taking 3 Shakespeare classes.
No way, wait,
yeah,
really?
Yes, one was Intro to Shakespeare, and the other 2 were Shakespeare and film. And we read the plays and then watched the like movie adaptations, and we compared and contrasted.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it was so much fun. So now
how similar were they?
Most of them were pretty similar. A lot of them were like you can tell one was written in the 1600s and one had like a more modern take. I think we watched like what was it 10 Things I Hate About You?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We watched that one because it's like the Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the Taming of the Shrew. Yeah. So yeah, we watched that and we like compared how the same themes like follow a through line throughout all of time. And I thought it was really, really cool.
That's really cool actually.
Yeah, and so just like diving more into the Shakespeare text and reading it, I'm like, oh, a lot of this stuff still applies to real life, which is kind of what we found out in all of the old-timey texts that we've been reading.
Seriously.
Yeah. Some things change, people don't. Yeah. People don't change.
Yeah, I get like that's what we're talking about for the Summoner's Tale is just that like they're although these things are so old and tiny, they could still be relevant today, which is so crazy. It's like when people say like you should learn about history so that you don't repeat it type of deal.
Yeah.
And I think the same applies for a lot of art from history as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I feel like, I mean, at the end of the day, people have been the same since the beginning of time. We have the same hearts and minds and the same values, the same connections with other people. And you can see that in no matter what text you read or like music that you listen to from the old-timey days. Like, you know, like Bach and Handel and Mozart, they still move us the same way they moved people back then.
Exactly.
And it's so beautiful.
I'll cry right now.
Oh, I love human nature.
Also, bear with me because when I went swimming on Sunday, I dove into the water, like first thing, and it was so refreshing. 1.
I bet. Yeah.
2, I can't hear out of this ear.
No, you got swimmer's ear?
I think so.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I talked to my doctor and he told me to like put something in my ear and it didn't work.
Oh my gosh.
And an ear cleaning is $250.
Ah, no.
And so I've been deaf for the last 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
In one of my ears.
That's insane.
Yeah. So it feels like I'm lagging behind or I'm like confused. I'm processing through one ear.
That is so crazy. Oh my gosh.
I know, it's horrible.
Nature killed you.
When you were talking, I had to turn you up. Because the worst part is it feels so you know when like you go like this and you can like hear your voice, like how singers have to so they can hear themselves sing. I'm hearing myself louder than anything else.
That's awful.
And it's the most annoying thing.
That is terrible. That is truly awful.
Yeah, so I have to like stop talking to make sure I could hear you, but I had to turn you up because I was like,
what are you saying?
What are you saying to me?
That is so tragic.
I know. And I really tried to fix it.
I know, it's awful.
But I'm all you can do. Yeah, I literally have to just suffer.
You just have to suffer. Oh, that's terrible. Goes away. Tragic. Yeah.
Sometimes there are consequences of adventures, guys.
There are rewards and there are consequences.
Be safe out there.
Be safe out there, champs. Don't dive head first. Don't dive ear first into the water.
Ear first. I was just like,
ear first.
Ear first, guys.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I like go to work and I'm a cashier, so I have to. Sometimes I'm like, my manager's talking to me on this side, the customer's talking to me here. And I look at the customer and I'm like, 1 second. What did you say?
Let me get to my good ear, please. My good ear.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
So embarrassing. The amount of customers where I had to be like, sorry, I have one ear.
Where? That is awful. Well, I hope it gets fixed.
Thank you.
So this week, we are going to read a little bit of what is actually my favorite Shakespeare play, Hamlet.
That was beautiful. Thank you
so much. I wish it was a musical. It's not a musical.
We can make it a musical.
Yes! Hamlet the musical. Let's just sing all these little lines.
Wait, how is there not a Hamlet, and not a Hamlet, like a Shakespeare musical?
Actually, I don't know.
You should make it.
I'm on it. I'm sure there is somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. There is a musical about two people that hate Shakespeare so much that they decide to write the first musical.
Wait, seriously?
Yes, it's called Something Rotten, and it's these two writers.
I know.
Yeah, two writers in London. They hate Shakespeare so much because he's so successful and also terrible.
That's the shirt that you got.
Yeah. So they decide that they're going to write something better than Shakespeare. So they go to like a fortune teller who can tell the future, and the fortune teller says, the future is musicals. So they write the first musical.
Oh my god.
It's so great. Yeah, Shakespeare has a song called It's Hard to Be the Bard, and there's also a song called God, I Hate Shakespeare. And it's so great.
Funny. I love that.
But Hamlet, not a musical. It is a story about a man, you guessed it, named Hamlet.
What?
Who is the Prince of Denmark? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Prince of Denmark. And his dad just died from mysterious circumstances.
Poor Hamlet.
And it is revealed by his father's ghost that he was killed by Hamlet's uncle, Claudius. And so Claudius marries Hamlet's dad. Or Hamlet's wife. Hamlet's mom.
Hamlet's dad. He marries his corpse.
Claudius marries Hamlet's mom. So he's the new king of Denmark. And
murderer.
And Hamlet is like, this is my nightmare. I hate all of this. I am going to seek revenge on Claudius. And how does he decide to do that? He decides to act insane. And that's pretty much his whole plan. He's like, I'm going to pretend to be crazy so that Claudius thinks he drove me to madness with his dark doings of killing my father. But in that, he unknowingly becomes actually insane. And he starts doubting reality, he starts questioning everything that he's ever known. And at the end of the day, his quest for revenge leads to his own demise. And it is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and everyone is sad in this play. There's very few happy moments in this play.
Yeah. I think I read this one in like 9th or 10th grade.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, is this happy at all? And my teacher's like, no,
No, no, it isn't. Thanks
It's
for
okay.
asking. Next question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think the thing with this one too is that there's a lot of like lessons
oh
and
yeah.
like I don't know, real feelings, emotions in here.
Hmm.
So there's a lot to take away from
Oh
Hamlet
yeah.
as a whole.
Oh yeah. It's very, very dense, very full of cultural context and lessons and metaphors and questions about what it means to be a human, what it means to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Is revenge the right answer? How do you move on from such a tragedy happening in your life? It's intense. And reading it as a high schooler, I feel definitely doesn't do it justice.
No,
So
absolutely not.
reading it again when I was like my brain was a little more developed, I was like, whoa, this means a
Maybe I
lot
should
more.
read
You should read it again.
it. I think I still have all my copies of Romeo and
Oh, that's so
Juliet
nice.
and Midsummer's
Yeah.
Night,
Hmm.
and then yeah.
Macbeth is another one of my favorites. Also, not a happy moment in that play.
Nope.
Yeah, it's so sad, but it's so good.
It is. It is really
Yeah.
good. I have two copies of that because I use one for like blackout poetry.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
And it's actually really fun to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. But today we're going to read an excerpt from Act 3, Scene 1. And in this
Woo!
one, Hamlet is delivering a soliloquy. And it's the most famous soliloquy probably that Shakespeare has written. To be or not to be, you know that whole thing. And his wife to be, Ophelia, comes in and she's like, buddy, what's going on? I thought we
What
were
are
in
you
love.
doing?
I thought we were in love, and now you're spending all your time trying to get revenge on your uncle. Why?
And you're
Please.
talking to yourself.
You're talking to yourself. You're talking about dying a lot. I just want to know what's
What's
up.
happening?
I'm very concerned. I was ready to get married. And so that is a little bit. I'll be playing the role of Hamlet. Ari will be playing the role
I
of Ophelia.
Ophelia.
Okay, I gotta get
Ophelia.
Ophelia. You've been on my mind, girl, since the start.
Also, y'all, just to preface, me and Maggie are recording this so early in the morning. So sorry if we seem so like zombie like.
It's 9 a.m. for me. It's
It's
8 a.m. for Ari.
we woke up an hour ago.
Yeah, I know.
So we are ourselves. We are just sleepier versions of ourselves.
That's true. There's nothing like Shakespeare and existential crises to
Right?
wake
First
you up
thing
in the morning.
in
So let's get into
the
it.
morning.
Act
Woo!
3, Scene 1. Hamlet says, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks the flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Ay, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns the patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pitch and moment with this regard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Soft you now, the fair Ophelia, nymph in thy orisons, be all my sins remembered.
Good, my lord. How does your honor for this many a day?
I humbly thank you. Well,
My lord, I have remembrances of yours that I have longed to redeliver. I pray you now receive them.
no, not I. I never gave you aught.
My honored lord, you know right well you did, and with them words of so sweet breath composed, as made the things more rich, their perfume lost. Take these again for the noble mind. Rich gifts wax poor when givers prove unkind. There, my lord.
Are you honest?
My lord?
Are you fair?
What means your lordship?
That if you be honest and fair, your honesty should admit no discourse to your beauty.
Could beauty, my lord, have better commerce than with honesty?
Ay, truly, for the power of beauty will sooner transform honesty from what it is to a bawd than the force of honesty can translate beauty into his likeness. This was sometime a paradox, but now the time gives it proof. I did love you once.
Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so.
You should not have believed me, for virtue cannot so inoculate our old stock, but we shall relish of it. I loved you not.
I was the more deceived.
Get thee to a nunnery. Get thee to a nunnery. Wouldst thou be a breeder of sitters? I am myself indifferent honest, but yet I could accuse me of such things that it were better my mother had not borne me. I am very proud, revengeful, ambitious, with more offences at my beck than I have thoughts to put to them in, imagination to give them shape, or time to act them in. What should such fellows as I do crawling between earth and heaven? We are arrant knaves all, believe none of us. Go thy ways to a nunnery. Where's your father?
At home, my lord.
Let the doors be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere but in own's house. Farewell.
Oh, help him, you sweet heavens.
If thou dost marry, I'll give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou as chaste as ice, as pure as snow, thou shalt not escape calumny. Get thee to a nunnery. Farewell. Or, if thou wilt needs marry, marry a fool, for wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them. To a nunnery, go, and quickly too.
Heavenly powers, restore him.
I have heard of your paintings too well enough. God hath given you one face, and you make yourselves another. You jig and amble, and you lisp. You nickname God's creatures, and make your wantonness your ignorance. Go to, I'll no more on it. It hath made me mad. I say we will have no more marriage. Those that are married already, all but one shall live. The rest shall keep as they are. To a nunnery, go!
Oh, what a noble mind is here overthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quit, quiet. Is that say quit or quiet?
I think it's quite.
Quiet.
Quite?
Quite. The observed of all observers, quite down, and I of ladies most dejected and wretched, that sucked the honey of his musked vows. Now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of time and harsh, the unmatched form and stature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. Oh,
Scene.
I was like, wait, what is happening? Okay, so much just happened though.
Yeah, oh, I know.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
crazy. Yeah, so Hamlet is basically having a little existential
Mental breakdown.
crisis. He's like, "Ooh, man, I would love to die, but I don't know what's on the other side, and I'm kind of scared to. Does that make me a coward because I want to live?" And he's like, "But what's the point of living if all I do is go to work and everything is a tragedy and my dad is dead?" It's not great stuff.
I think literally the first part where he's like to be or not to be, like
Hmm.
obviously the most famous line, but right
Yeah.
after that he's like, is it more noble for me to just suffer through these things?
Yeah.
Uh or should I fight them? Should I like fight fire with fire essentially?
Right? Yeah, just kind of
And
like a
for someone so vengeful, like he even claims when he's talking to Ophelia, like that's who he is. He's just a vengeful person. For
yeah.
someone so vengeful to be literally talking about being a coward and wanting to die
I
a
know,
second earlier
right?
is so contradicting. So it's
It
very clear
is.
that he really doesn't know who he is at all.
No, so much because Hamlet in this point is very young still. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's a prince. He's not gonna be the king anytime soon. He's very young and he's just so full of anger and sadness and fear And he wants to be this big, strong, ambitious, vengeful guy that his dad was and that his uncle is now. But at the end of the day, he's just a scared kid who is angry that his dad is gone. And so he's putting on this face to the world and to Ophelia, who he does love. And he's like, I don't have time for love. I don't want anything to do with you because the man I'm supposed to be is the man seeking revenge for my father.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Ophelia's like, no, I remember you being nice and loving me. And he's like, never. I never did that.
I literally have never said that in my life.
Like, the gaslighting is
Hamlet
crazy.
is the first gaslighter, yeah.
The origins of gaslighting right here, folks.
The original gaslighter is Hamlet. Yeah, he's like, I never loved you. What are you talking about? You sound crazy.
And then he starts, like, insulting her.
I know. And he says my favorite line ever, get thee to a nunnery.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Yeah, and he's basically, like, accusing her of being unfaithful to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, are you so honest? Are you really? And she's like, where is this coming from?
And he's like, any kid you have surely be a sinner. Like, every kid you have, there will be a problem with him.
Yeah, so crazy. And it's basically saying, just like, never find another man, even though I don't love you. Go to a nunnery and be a nun.
Be with other men.
Yeah, so manipulative. So mean to her for no reason. Yeah. Which is why later on in the play, Ophelia also loses her sanity.
Yes.
And because, I mean, he's doing the same thing that Claudius is doing to him. He's making her question her entire reality. Everything she thought was true.
Yeah.
It's so sad. And it's just like a cycle of vengeance and death with no descendants. Sorry, that was Hamilton. Oh, it came out too easy.
It just was natural.
It came out so naturally.
No, but him gaslighting her is really freaking crazy because he's like, it's the tale as old as time where, like, they say that, you know, hurt people, bullies are also bullied themselves and like all this other stuff. And that's basically what Hamlet is doing to her. And he doesn't see it because he's so lost in his own mind. But even if it is harsh, him being like, don't be with another man, just go to a nunnery. Like, it's like his true self is peeking out because obviously he cared for her at some point.
Yeah, he doesn't want her with somebody
else. He doesn't want her with somebody else still, which is, you know, on the surface manipulative, obviously.
Yeah.
But if he's so lost in his insanity and doesn't realize his true feelings for her are still there because he's so wrapped up in this vengeance that, like, we see the bits and pieces of true Hamlet peeking out here that he even does not see.
Yeah, man, that's really good.
That's what I was saying that I love about, like, Shakespeare is that there's so much to, like, think about and analyze, and there's always, like, really good, like, one-line hitters.
Yes. Woe is me.
Woe is me. I was like, wow, that's famous.
Woe is me, bro.
That's so true, man. I am woe.
I am woe, and woe is me. So good, man. He's literally a genius.
I know that you mentioned this a bit already, but he's like, to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, is so interesting because I feel like ideally in a medieval time there would be some sort of semblance of, like, God and religion.
Yeah.
So especially like in a kingdom where they're most likely religious, that even though the norm belief would probably be that you go to heaven or you go to hell or whatever, he's still like, is that true though? Like, is that true? Because I have no proof. Because now that he's actually thinking about, like, oh, should I just die? Like,
right.
He's like, but if I die, do I actually go somewhere? Like, what is, like, he's really, like, in his vengeance, he is so wrapped up in anything but himself that he's losing himself. and he's
Yeah.
forgetting even like the core beliefs that he most likely had,
Hmm.
and questioning every ounce of his being. But that's a question that we still ask ourselves, is like, is there
Right?
actually anything afterwards?
Yeah.
We do sweat in this weary life and work day and night and
Hmm.
complain about our 9 to 5s, and it's
Hmm.
like, is there anything afterwards? Is there,
Right?
like, what?
Hmm. No, I mean, even people that are like so firm in their beliefs, they still are like, well, I'm not ready to die because I know what's here. I don't I'm not ready to change everything that I have here to
Yeah,
go experience something else. It's still
yeah.
terrifying. Yeah, everyone is scared of death.
Oh, absolutely.
Even like Hamlet, who obviously like is kind of wishing for it. He's like, but I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather be here with my terrible uncle and my dumb mom.
Or just sleep. What if I just sleep?
Yeah, perchance to dream.
To dream instead of die.
Yeah.
It's,
I think yeah, Hamlet might just need to take a big nap or
I think he just
something.
needs a nap. A little,
Yeah,
he's
I
just a
think he
little
needs a big nap.
sleepy. Maybe he woke up early too.
Maybe that'll be a request. Take a big nap.
Take a
Perchance
big
to dream.
nap. Perchance to dream. Oh my gosh.
Gosh, yeah.
So he's like, at first I thought he was talking to himself, but it looks like
Hmm.
Ophelia's here the whole time.
Yeah, she's just like watching him have this little
Watching
come
him
apart.
have this breakdown,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Soft you now, fair Ophelia." And I'm like, wait, she was just standing there?
He's just like pacing around his room, and she's like, uh,
What are you
my
doing?
lord.
My lord, please.
And he like turns around and he's like, you. I
That's
never loved you.
horrifying.
I know. I'd be a little concerned for him. And just the fact that Ophelia was so nice to him the whole time. Because like she could have snapped back, but she was
She
just
could
like,
have.
she was like, obviously there's something wrong with you. God, please fix him. He's
Yeah.
going through something really hard, and he's like, I hate you. You're unloyal. You're unfaithful. Your kids are gonna be sinners. And she's like, Hamlet, I love you.
Like, you're just a pretty face.
Yeah.
Like, nothing, you're not honest or fair.
Mhm. Oh gosh.
Horrible.
I know, it's so sad. Just it's so sad how when you're hurt, you go after the people that is are right by your side because they're the easiest to hurt and they'll
Yeah.
forgive you the quickest. It's just so
Yeah.
sad. Yeah.
Also, like, to be a little devil's advocate for Hamlet, I'm
Hmm.
sure that he's in so much pain that he's like, I would literally rather be alone than continue to be
Yes.
surrounded by people who make me feel like I'm a good person because I'm not,
Yeah.
or like make me
Hmm.
feel alive because I don't want to be.
Yeah.
And so he's like
Man.
pushing her away.
Yeah, because she was like the one great thing he had in his life after his dad died.
Yeah.
And when she comes around being like, Hamlet, I love you. You're sweet. We have a future together. He doesn't
He's
want to
like,
hear any of
I don't
that.
have a future or deserve your love.
Yeah, and when I look at you, I see that future, so you have to leave.
You have to go.
Oh, that's so
Literally, that's what
romantic.
not
Oh, that's so
Maggie,
sweet.
not Maggie calling the original Gaslighter romantic.
It's sweet. It's sweet.
So sweet of your, Hamlet.
It's working on me, Hamlet. It's
Take me to a
working.
nunnery.
I will go to the nunnery, Hamlet.
Oh
Oh,
my
it's so
gosh.
sad.
Hamlet is the original trauma baby.
He really is. But like when you think about it, like when you were an angry teenager growing up, when I was an angry teenager, the people I took it out on were my mom and my sister because
Mhm.
they were the people that I loved the most and I knew would forgive me the easiest. So,
Dang.
yeah, right? Yeah. I was like, I'm going to be angry at these people because they're the biggest parts of my life and I can't control anyone else. So I took out all my rage on them. And I think that's what Hamlet is doing with Ophelia. He's like, she's the perfect woman. She's so nice to me. And I don't want her to be nice to me because I feel awful right now. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna take out all my anger on her because she's right here. And I can't avenge my father's death.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's like so for him, like he's in this almost delusion
Yeah.
of who he is and how his life is. that like Ophelia telling him the exact opposite is like breaking the delusion. And
Yes, yeah.
so when he's like go to a nunnery, like don't you breed sinners, like why would you be here? And he's like, I am a very proud, revengeful, ambitious,
Yeah.
and I have more offenses on my back than I have thoughts to put them in. He's like he's like almost, I could tell he's talking to Ophelia, but he's also at the same time almost like trying to reassure himself of who he
Yeah.
thinks he is,
Yeah.
and like
Trying to
convince
force
himself
himself
at
to
the
be
same
those things.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also like the with more offenses at my back than I have thoughts to put them in. That feels like it says imagination to give them shape or time to act them in. Yeah. He's basically saying who he thinks he is without even doing anything. He's like, I have all these like basically thinking ahead in the future, like, oh, in the future, I'm gonna be such a horrible person that like I'm gonna do so many bad things that I don't even have time to do the bad things. I don't have time to think about them.
Right.
I don't have time to do. I'm like, boy, you haven't even done anything yet, but
I
you're over
know.
here trying to punish yourself for things you could do.
I know, yeah.
You know,
all he's thought
like,
about
you don't have a choice.
Killing Claudius, and he's like, man, it feels like I've already killed Claudius because I thought about it so much.
Yeah.
And now I feel guilty thinking about killing him. Gosh.
And he hasn't even done it.
Yeah, he hasn't killed anyone yet.
He hasn't killed anybody. And he's like, I'm a horrible man. I don't deserve anything.
I suck. We're like, you suck later. You're not there yet.
You're getting there.
You're getting there, buddy. You're getting
this
there.
Rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of is almost like becoming the thing that he wanted to become, essentially.
Yeah. And it's just awful. It's so sad watching him be like, I'm sure he was a nice guy. He loved his family a lot. He loved Ophelia. She says he had like in his vows, he made like the sweet musics of vows promising to marry her. And so I'm assuming he was like a sweet little romantic guy. And then this terrible thing happened and he just completely changed and lost everything that he was. And so he's trying to build a new personality who is evil and awful and vengeful. And he can't do it. It's so sad.
Yeah.
But then he does do it.
And then he does.
And then he dies.
I guess he got what he wanted in the end.
Yeah, I guess so. Poor guy. Poor guy.
What's it called? I think it's in this also, but is the other famous line where it's like, to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
And I know we mentioned that in an episode a few weeks ago. And that is Hamlet is a good example of your mindset. And what your mind can truly do to you.
Right.
And it almost is a mind over matter situation because he became so consumed with his own thoughts that he warped his own sense of reality.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, like that's kind of what like anxiety feels like.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I remember that like I was experiencing so much anxiety on a day-to-day that there would be some times where like a thought would cling to my head and I would start being paranoid that it was real and I was like trying to like fist fight reality at this I was like, is this real or is this not real? Like, am I just like am I a real person? Am I like, are these things real to me? Why am I experiencing so much existentialism and anxiety over this thing?
No, yeah.
And Hamlet, like talking to himself, is very much like he's like, I could tell he's trying to convince himself, but he's like so scared because he's trying to convince himself. And that is the first sign of like, that's not who he is at all.
Yeah.
And he's experiencing so much like paranoia and fear that he doesn't know any better.
I know, it's so sad. And for me, I relate to his like pent up anger and it's turning him into someone he doesn't want to be and that he would never turn into if he didn't have it. And he's just holding on to all of this anger and this grief and he's not letting it go in a healthy way. And so it's coming out on people that he doesn't want it to, and it eventually is going to destroy him. And I feel like I definitely relate to that because I hold on to things so closely and I will never let them go when I love a grudge.
I will
But
never let them go.
I love a grudge. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to be a lot more healing to just let that anger go and let the past die.
Let it die. Kill it
Kill
if
it
you
if
have
you have
to.
to.
Yeah, I think also like this goes to show that you need to have an understanding of your own emotions too.
Oh, yeah.
Because although he's trying to portray himself as angry, all I can
Mhm.
see is somebody who's sad that he lost his father.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And he's reacting in an angry way for sure. But I'm like, is he actually angry or is he just hurt and sad because his father's gone and he
Yeah.
doesn't know how to channel his sadness
Hmm.
besides turning it into anger so he can be vengeful?
Yeah, no, he just wants justice for his family, and the only way that he sees he can do it is to turn into a
Yeah.
ambitious, fearful, angry guy.
Yeah. And I
Hmm.
mean, even like, not even just for his family, but for himself, because now that his father's dead and his uncle took over,
Hmm.
it's going to be his uncle's kids that inherit the throne, not him.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
his entire way of life and his entire future just got ripped out from underneath him.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to almost formulate his own understanding of the future without knowing any information
Right.
besides the pain that
He's
he's
just so
feeling.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he's experiencing his darkest night of the soul for sure.
For sure.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And we're seeing kind of the ruin that he's putting in
Hmm.
his wake as he's trying to
Yeah.
figure out, how lost he is. I saw, oh, this reminds me of a quote actually.
Hmm.
Because I reposted a TikTok the other day. And hold on, you're gonna hear my TikTok for 1 second. Um, as I try to find it.
Hmm.
But it was like, is it this one? No. I've been hearing that. I've been seeing that Tyla dance everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. Is it this one? Yeah. So it's this girl like screaming.
Hmm.
And it's the quote says, of course everything is falling apart. Your new life will cost you your old one.
Whoa. Yeah, that is pretty great.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that's kind of like what this reminds me of is
Hmm.
that he's him being in his darkest night almost is like, sometimes things do have to you have to sometimes break things a bit more to piece things back together the way
Yeah.
that they're supposed to
Hmm.
be. Um and who's to say whether or not his life was supposed to go in the direction that Hamlet goes in, but
Yeah.
we'll never know
I
because
know.
Hamlet made his own actions and choices. All your
Hmm.
actions have consequences, whether they're good or bad, and you have
Yeah.
to live with them, you know?
Hmm. I'm just thinking, what would I have done if I was in Hamlet's situation? And I have no idea.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Especially like if you know that your uncle did it
Yeah.
and like no one else knows
Hmm.
or
Like,
believes you,
how would I
probably.
go about confronting him? Yeah.
Yeah. Like how the heck? And
Yeah.
then it's like the uncle's like, well, you're lucky I let you live.
Hmm. Yeah.
He's like, I could kill you also.
Yeah. Yeah. Make things a lot easier for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I would have done the insanity card. Don't think I would have done that. I probably would have just like snuck into his room when he was asleep and killed him.
Yeah, like
It
killed
would
him
have
in
cut
his sleep.
a lot less casualties.
I don't know. I feel
Hmm.
like because I'm a lot more passive and non-confrontational,
Hmm.
I probably would have just taken Ophelia and ran. Like
Oh, wait, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
ran so far
Yeah, go start
away,
a new life.
forgot my
Hmm.
mom existed,
Yeah.
start a new life.
Hmm. No, actually, I'm doing that. I'm doing that instead. Yeah.
And I mean, as a prince, I'm sure he has some skills. So he could like
Yeah.
do a trade, make some good money, have kids, and forget he was ever royal.
Right. Yeah.
And essentially, if he's complaining about his life as a royal, he probably had less work to do than a regular person.
Yeah, like
But he's
what
complaining
exactly?
about how horrible his life is.
Yeah, how much grunting and sweating was Hamlet actually doing?
Yeah, what were you
Really?
doing, Hamlet?
Yeah,
Really?
your
Get
fencing
it
lessons,
together.
buddy. Your life is
Your
so
tea
hard.
time.
Your tea time, buddy. you have to learn astronomy or whatever.
Ooh, science.
Your life is so hard, Hamlet. Yeah. I personally, I feel like I could have handled the situation a lot better, but I've never been in that situation. I've never experienced that much grief, so I don't know. Maybe if I saw my father get killed or I saw my father die, and then my father's ghost visits me from beyond the grave and says, "Your uncle did it."
Wait, I forgot about it.
Yeah, he's like, "Your uncle killed me. Get revenge." I might have to follow him. Yeah. No, literally. In some productions of Hamlet, I've seen they make the dad's ghost like 10 feet tall, the scariest thing you've ever seen in your freaking life.
Oh my god.
And he's like, "Hamlet, avenge my death. Your uncle did it."
What if the uncle never did it?
Right? What if the ghost lied?
Well, what if it wasn't even a ghost? Like, what if it was a manifestation of his grief?
His own grief, yeah.
His own grief. Because, like, picture this, right? His father dies, and suddenly his uncle takes his place in the kingdom. But also, like, almost as a father figure, because he's the only other male in the family. So now Hamlet's grief over his father's death that is like untalked about, unchallenged, is running rampant, and he just like he ends up creating this figment of his father that is like, "Hey, your uncle killed me. You should get revenge," because that's all he can handle. All he sees is that his uncle is now in charge and not his dad.
Like that's the solution that his mind formulates to like, the traumatic experience that he just had.
Yeah,
it's like, here's the way forward. Your uncle is where your dad used to be, so you have to get rid of him.
You have to get rid of him. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, going back to the how strong your emotions can influence your mind. Like, you know, imagine if his father's ghost wasn't real and it was just a manifestation of his grief. Human suffering is a really strong and almost unbearable, unthinkable emotion that like you can't really plan ahead to how you're going to manage your suffering.
Yeah. And it's different for everybody.
Exactly. But that's just part of, you know, I guess that's just part of like the human experience, right?
Yeah.
We're all just sacks on this planet learning ourselves every day, learning this human like this life every day, and we all perceive and experience it in a infinite amount of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, Ophelia is not understanding what Hamlet went through because she didn't see the ghost. She's not stricken with grief. She doesn't understand why he's being so horrible. Hamlet himself doesn't understand why he's being so horrible.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess it's just a mystery.
It's just a mystery.
We're all here just figuring it out one adventure at a time.
Yep. Having moments of unspeakable insanity creating grief.
Yeah, and seeing ghosts.
But also moments of beautiful, breathtaking joy. And I think if Hamlet had kind of handled the situation a little bit better and relied on Ophelia to get him through his grief, he would have seen those moments of beautiful joy again, and his life didn't have to end with the death of his father. But I guess we'll never know. Hamlet. It makes me so sad. He had so much life ahead of him. Oh, Hammy.
Oh, Hammy boy.
Oh, Hammy boy.
But yeah. I think the main takeaway is just be true to yourselves and don't. Yeah. There's a fine line between, because I know that I've said this before in the podcast too. There's a like faking it till you make it almost, but like don't try to convince yourself that you're somebody you're not. Yeah. You know, there's a difference between being like, oh, I'm confident, I'm happy, you know, affirming yourself to be the person you want to be, as opposed to trying to convince yourself that you're somebody you're not. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference.
And also reminding yourself that you are not your anger and your grief and your pain. You are more than the things that have happened to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They always say, like, it's not, what is it? Where it's like, it's not, it's not what, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, it's not what people say or do to you, it's how you react that's important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that was so hard for me to remember. But that is true, because like how you react says a lot more about you than what it says about the other people, you know. Not to say like you always have to be the bigger person or not fight back or defend yourself in certain situations, but yeah, just remember who you are, and if you don't know who that is, then deep dive and explore.
Find out. Yeah.
Find out. But don't convince yourself to be someone you're not.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're going to feel much worse.
Yeah. And it's going to be a lot harder for you to come back and, you know, figure out who the real you is. And maybe you'll go crazy like Hamlet.
I hope not, but you might.
Just take a big long nap, guys.
Just take a big long nap to sleep, perchance to dream.
Perchance.
Perchance?
Huh?
Perchance?
But I'm glad that we went over some I know that, like you said, this is more Renaissance, but it's kind of written in a medieval time.
Yeah, I
think that's where it takes place,
the
right?
1300s.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we like focus, because I know we talk about the Canterbury Tales a lot, but I'm glad that we looked at some other form of writing, because I know we had a fun Thursday episode where we looked at some medieval art, and it was definitely wild and crazy. But I think art can say a lot about a time period and what we can learn from it, the same way that we can still laugh at fart jokes
from the 1200s. It's so great.
Oh, Chaucer, you genius.
Chaucer, you genius.
If only Shakespeare knew could write some fart jokes for us.
Oh, Shakespeare has plenty of fart jokes. Don't you worry.
What?
No, 90% of Shakespeare's comedies are like sex jokes and fart jokes.
What? That's what we have to look at next.
We'll have to find some,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, do you have any other thoughts?
That's it. Remember who you are.
That's it. Yes, remember who you are, be true to yourself, and you know, feel through your emotions. Don't let them consume you. Yeah. I guess would be the moral of the story.
I like it. I like it a lot.
But we have a fun quest for you.
Yay!
Even though it's been a bit of a deep talk, because Hamlet's a little dark.
A little bit of a downer.
We have a more fun quest for you guys.
We do.
And that is since we were reading an act from a play, we are sending you on a quest to go to the movies.
Woohoo! Go see some actors.
Go see some actors.
Screenwriters doing their stuff. And just have fun and analyze it. Read a little story. Yeah.
Yeah. And a bonus if you do it on like a solo date instead of, have fun, take yourself on a date, buy yourself lunch, get some flowers.
Oh, sweet.
Men, you too. You deserve flowers.
Get yourself some flowers.
And then take yourself to the movies, take a little break from people, and just have some time to yourself while enjoying some art.
Nice.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
And of course, we have a glorious episode for you guys on Thursday. But coming on Thursday, we will be 1 week away from the end of our season 1.1 podcast, and we'll be taking a 2-week break.
I know you guys will miss us.
I know. Don't worry. We'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back.
We have so many things planned.
So many things. It's going to be great.
But we will talk more about that next week.
Yes.
So be sure to tune in for Thursday's episode and next week's episode.
Yes. And follow us on all of our social medias. Instagram, TikTok at Questing HR podcast. Twitter at Questing Hour. We're on Reddit, right? Pinterest.
Yeah.
Tumblr.
Yeah. And LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn, baby. Because we're professionals.
We are professionals.
And you can listen on Spotify or YouTube, whichever you prefer. You can see our beautiful faces on YouTube. And we're trying to hit 50 subscribers by the end of next week. So you better do it. You better do it.
Do it. We're pretty much, I think we're almost halfway.
Yeah, I think so. We're pretty good.
So if you listen, drop a sub.
Drop a sub. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell everyone you know. Share it with everyone. Tell everyone
Scream
you know.
It from the rooftops.
Also, a little quick shout out before we end it here that a couple people have reached out to me on socials and in my personal life about this podcast. And I just wanted to tell y'all that I love y'all, and me and Maggie really appreciate you guys listening to us, but also sharing your opinions and constructive criticisms of the podcast with us, because obviously we're first-time podcasters, guys.
Yeah,
so
we're all growing and learning.
Yeah, every time we record an episode, we're learning something new, we're doing something new and figuring it out as we go. So we really appreciate your feedback and your commentary. And I'm glad that some of y'all are actually getting help and comfort from our episodes.
It makes me so happy.
It's really not satisfying, comforting,
fulfilling,
fulfilling. That's it.
It's so fulfilling. Like this is why we're doing it. We're doing it for you guys.
Exactly. So it's really fulfilling, and it brings some warmth to my heart, and I really appreciate y'all. So quick shout out for you guys.
Yes. And if you're doing a quest, you like what we're talking about, feel free to share stuff with us at #myquestinghour. On any social media, we'll find it. We'll like it.
We'll find
comment.
You, don't worry.
We'll find you. We'll like
and we'll share it.
We'll comment.
And we'll do everything. And we'll make a musical about it.
And we'll give you a little kissing emoji, and we'll go, we love you. And we'll see you here on Thursday.
Farewell, travelers.
So long. Ahoy.
Ahoy.
Land ho.
The archie blows.
Archie blows.